Cleopatra. You hear the name and immediately you get this picture in your head, right? Gold, eyeliner, epic romance, and, tragedy. She's got to be one of the most famous women in all of history. But how much of what we think we know about her is the real deal? Today, we're going to try to separate the actual woman from the legend. When you hear Cleopatra, this is probably what pops into your head. Elizabeth Taylor, the whole opulent barge scene, luxurious silks, this image of a legendary beauty, this ultimate seductress. It's an image that Hollywood perfected, and it's been locked in our culture for decades. But is that stunning, powerful image the truth? Or is it a fantasy, one that's been carefully built up over 2,000 years? To find the real Cleopatra, we've got to look way past the movie screen and go back to the original sources. And, well, that's where it all gets a little complicated. 'Cause see, the story of Cleopatra wasn't written by her. It wasn't even written by her own people. For the most part, it was written by the guys who defeated her, the Romans. This description right here from the Roman historian Plutarch is one of the most powerful and influential ever written about her. It paints this picture of a woman whose power wasn't political or military, but came from some kind of irresistible, almost magical charm. This is the seed of the whole seductress legend we know today. But here's the thing you absolutely have to know. Plutarch wasn't there. He was writing almost 150 years after Cleopatra died, and he was writing for a Roman audience. Remember, Rome had conquered her kingdom. And you know what they say, history's written by the victors. So her story got absorbed into their narrative, the story of this dangerous foreign queen who bewitched one of their greatest generals. Okay, so let's put one of Plutarch's most famous claims to the test. The idea that Cleopatra was this genius linguist who could speak 9 languages. Is it fact, or is it just another part of the myth-making machine? So here's the list from Plutarch. He claims she could just chat with diplomats from all these different places. No interpreter needed. I mean, on the surface, that sounds incredible, right? What a sign of intellect and diplomacy. But when you look a little closer, the whole thing starts to get a bit shaky. All right, first on the list, troglodytes. This wasn't a specific group of people with their own unique language. The word literally just means cave dwellers. For a Roman writer, this was probably just a vague, kind of dismissive term for people they saw as uncivilized, living along the Red Sea. It's not a specific language she could have studied. And then there's Arabic, the formal written version of the language that we think of as ancient Arabic. Well, it wasn't really standardized until long after Cleopatra was gone. Now, she for sure dealt with people who spoke dialects from that region, but the idea that she learned it as a distinct, formal language, pretty unlikely. So, while that 9 languages claim is a bit wobbly, Plutarch completely misses what was arguably her most incredible linguistic achievement. For 300 years, her own family, the Greek Macedonian Ptolemies, had ruled Egypt without ever bothering to learn the language of the people they were ruling. Cleopatra was the first one to do it. And that wasn't just some cool party trick. It was a huge political move, a way of saying, I am one of you. And that focus on connecting with her people, that tells you everything about where her real power was. It wasn't in some mythical charm. It was in being a smart, hands-on political operator. The Roman story, the one we all know, loves to focus on her relationships with Caesar and Mark Antony. But the actual historical record? It shows a monarch who was deeply involved in the messy, day-to-day work of running a country, especially one that was facing serious problems like drought and economic collapse. We have actual, concrete evidence of her leadership. I mean, look at this. She wasn't just sitting on a throne looking pretty. She was actively managing food supplies, reforming the currency to keep the economy from tanking, and passing laws to control prices. These are the actions of a serious, hands-on ruler, not just a romantic figure. Okay, this is so cool. What you're looking at is a translation of a single word she wrote in her own hand. It's on an official document from 33 BCE that grants a tax exemption. In Greek, she wrote "ginesthoi," which means "let it be done" or "make it happen." This is one of the rarest things you can find from the ancient world, the actual handwriting of a legendary ruler, her personal stamp of authority on an official government document. Amazing. And her ambitions were way bigger than just the borders of Egypt. The donations of Alexandria was maybe her biggest and boldest political move. This wasn't just some fancy ceremony. This was a calculated chess move on the geopolitical stage, designed to build a whole new Eastern empire for her kids to rule, securing her dynasty's future. I mean, just look at this breakdown of the power she and Antony were dishing out. Her son with Julius Caesar, Caesarion, was named King of Kings. Her other kids got these huge territories, some of which Rome considered its own turf. This was a direct challenge, a massive one, to Roman power in the region. You can just imagine how this went down back in Rome. It was political dynamite. Antony's rival, Octavian, saw his chance and pounced. He spun this as Antony just giving away Roman lands to his foreign mistress and their kids. The donations became the perfect piece of propaganda to paint Cleopatra as this huge threat to Rome, and it gave him the perfect excuse to declare war. So, if the historical Cleopatra was this shrewd politician and a capable head of state, why is the myth of the exotic seductress still so powerful today? Well, the answer is that the Roman propaganda never really went away. It just got recycled over and over. Let's just put the fantasy and the reality side by side. On the left, you've got the Hollywood ideal. On the right, you've got what we can see from her own time. Coins and busts showing a woman with strong, even severe features, and a really prominent nose. Her official images were never about being a conventional beauty. They were about projecting power, authority, and her legitimate right to rule. There's actually a term that helps explain all this. It's called Orientalism. It's this long-standing habit in Western culture of inventing a version of the East that is exotic, mysterious, sensual, and often less powerful. Cleopatra, this incredibly powerful ruler from an Eastern kingdom, was the perfect candidate to be reshaped by this lens into something more familiar and way less threatening, the mysterious seductress. And this quote really just nails it, doesn't it? The story of Cleopatra that we all know, both the ancient one written by Roman men and the modern one produced by Hollywood men, it reflects the values of the culture that created it. Her political brilliance gets downplayed while her sexuality gets turned up to 11, fitting her into a story that's a lot more comfortable for a male-centric worldview. So the story of Cleopatra is this incredible case study in how easily history can be twisted. And it leaves us with this big question. Whenever we look back at a powerful woman from the past, are we really seeing her? Or are we just seeing the myth that was created by the men who had the power to write her story for her?